Hey everybody.
How we doing? Good to see everyone. Hope you all had a little break. I know we did, but we've been chomping at the bit for the last couple of weeks. It's good to be back. We're refreshed. We're energized. There is a lot of buzz in the building, a lot of optimism. It's just great being around. With the players showing up, the coaches, the entire organization, and we feel really good about where we are as a football team. And I think we had a really productive off season. And that started with the hiring of Coach Hackett, and couldn't be more pleased with he and his staff. And everyone talks about the juice and the energy that they bring, and they do bring it. They bring it day in and day out, but there's just so much more. And it all starts with Nathaniel's leadership, his attention to detail, the connection that he has in the building with the players, the entire organization, the innovation that he's brought. He's really rebooted the entire building. But more importantly, the teaching, the unique teaching that he and his staff bring to the table, their ability to develop players has been really good, and you know how I feel about him as a coach. So I feel really good about our coaching staff as well as our team, and I appreciate the work that our team has put in the off season. I think we had 99% attendance rate in the off-season program, for the healthy players. I really like our locker room. I like the chemistry. I like the players we have here. They get along. They have fun. They love coming to work. I think we have a good blend of veteran players, young players, foundational type players, and so these guys like to work. They want to win, and they're obsessed with the process of winning. So we feel really good about this team. At the close of last year, I felt good about the foundation of this team, but I felt like we needed to add, right? And so I feel good with some of the players we were able to add in free agency. Not just great players, but great people. And I'm talking DJ Jones and K'Wan Williams and Randy Gregory and Billy Turner, just to name a few. I'm not going to name them all. And then the fact that we were able to retain some of our core guys and guys that are really important to the locker room, and K-Jack and Josie Jewell and Deshaun Williams and Sabi, the tight end, and Melvin Gordon. So feel good about that. And then, obviously we had the trade. We had a big trade, and it was game-changing. It was game-changing, for our locker room, the day-to-day, and for our football team, everything he brings here, Russ, and obviously we know what type of player he is. And then, the rookies. I thought the rookies, I was really pleased with the rookie class. First step, off-season program. A lot goes into that, a lot going on. And I felt like these guys passed that test. And here's the next test, training camp. Once we get the pads on, preseason. But I felt like we have some rookie players that are going to help contribute this year. I feel really good about them. We know expectations are higher than they've been here. We're not blind to that. We embrace expectations, but we have a long way to go. We haven't won here in 5-6 years. We won 7 games last year. We're 0-0 now. So the work starts now. A lot of work to be done. I know we're going to embrace the process, and I just look forward, to the journey with Coach Hackett, with this team, and everyone else involved. And before I take your questions, I just wanted to congratulate our community relations department. Obviously they got I'm sure you all know, the ESPN Sports Humanitarian Team of the Year award. And it's really, a great honor for our organization. And I applaud Allie and Liz and the entire group. And just some context on that award. It's the second NFL team to ever win that award, and it's all professional sports, in our country. And I've always known they're the best I've been around, and obviously it's proved. They've been finalists the last 3 years, so I'm just glad they won the award, and it's a credit to Joe Ellis, his leadership, Patrick Smythe, but most importantly our players and their coaches, and they're the ones who are out in the community and giving back. So really proud. It's a Super Bowl of community relations. So just can't thank them enough. We have a lot of good things going on in this organization. Now it's our turn. And with that, Nathaniel and I will turn it over to you guys.
Hey, George. 2 for you. First one is, which players will begin camp on PUP and non-football injury?
Right, Ryan, I don't have the list in front of me. I'll be happy to give it. I know a few. Billy Turner will be on PUP. Randy Gregory will as well. KJ Hamler. I know I'm missing someone. Christopher Allen will start on NFI. Not leaving anyone out. You're the
Put us on the spot.
put us on the spot. We'll get it to you guys. We're going to release it, shortly after.
And then secondly, for George, with Russell got 2 years left on his contract, what kind of priority is it during training camp to extend him? And have there been any talks between you and his camp?
We all want Russell here a long time, Ryan. I appreciate the question. Out of respect for his team, our team, we're just going to keep it in-house. Any discussions we may or may not have, I have a really good relationship, with Russ's agent, Mark Rogers, and at the right time, we'll get a deal done.
Arnie Stapleton with Associated Press. For both of you, starting with Nathaniel, what do you make of Russell Wilson's personal team of assistants, strength and conditioning guy, his own private quarterbacks coach? How will the group be integrated with your group, for instance, on the road trips and that sort of thing?
First and foremost, this game, to be able to have a quarterback play at a high level, it takes a whole family. And, I think Russ has done a great job surrounding himself with a great support group. And they're all great people. We know them well. And as we move forward, those are things that we're just going to work through and discuss what's best for the team. But I want Russ to be playing at a very high level. So I want him to be able to have everything that he needs to be able to get to that height he needs.
I'll just piggyback on that. It's not uncommon in this league nowadays for players to have certain parts of their team, and he's got a great team, and it's very collaborative. They're very respectful of any boundaries we have, and really they've become part of the the Bronco family. I mean, they're just really great people, and we're all anything we can do to gain an edge, Russ to gain an edge, our team to gain an edge, and we're all about winning. And if it's going to help us win, we're all for it.
Is just as a follow, is there any danger of a downside? I know it's becoming more popular in the league, but what are the kind of things you have to be careful that it doesn't maybe affect team chemistry or anybody else on the team?
Yeah, I mean, we'll work through that. I think it's been very, like I said, collaborative, very transparent with the team, with us. It hasn't, it's been seamless, and we don't foresee any issues with this group.
George, we haven't talked to you since news of the ownership change came out. Kind of what was your reaction to kind of having that piece, kind of settled, and what's sort of just been your discussions with them to this point?
I mean, I think not only myself, Coach Hackett, the entire organization is really excited for the ownership group. It's a dynamic ownership group, accomplished, incredibly accomplished, intelligent, and thoughtful leadership, and they're just going to help with the culture here, and we just can't wait to get them here. I've had a few conversations with them, and one thing I know is they're all about winning, and they want to win the right way. And they're going to help us set a winning culture. They will set the tone, and they'll add to what we've already started. So I know we're fired up to get them here and get them approved, and really enjoyed the brief conversations we've had up to this point.
George Stoya with the Gazette. For both you guys, you signed Randy Gregory this offseason. We haven't got to see him much because he's been injured, but how's he progressed so far with his injury, and what are your guys' expectations for him this season, both on the field and in the locker room for you guys?
He's looks really good. He's had a really good summer. Randy's been working really hard. I love seeing him work. When I look out my window, I see him work. He's shown everything here in his rehab that he's shown on tape. I think Randy, obviously there's some work to be done, but we expect him on schedule for week 1. And we'll see if, we can take him off before then. But he looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's about doing it the right way. It's a long season, and we won't be hitting that stride in December. It's about December football, and, I love everything that he's done. Just his attitude. I mean, this guy loves ball. And, I mean, it's everything to him. And as a coach, that's what you want. And he's a great person to have in the locker room. I mean, he's been very much a pleasure.
Coach Hackett, first. Your first training camp that you'll be running, do you have an idea on how you're going to play guys in the preseason in terms of especially starters, and you're integrating a new offense with a new quarterback, and like how that might look? I know it's early, but do you have an idea of what especially with starters?
Yeah, I think it is early. I mean, I think it's about how we get the practices up to those points in all those games. I look back at all the history of preseason. I know that winning a preseason game doesn't help you get to the playoffs. So I always keep that, with that mindset is that, preseason is for us for evaluation, for just watching guys go out there and do some basic things and just play football. So whoever needs to go out there, how we see fit, that's how we'll do it.
George, you embraced these expectations. How has Coach Hackett helped that and foster those expectations for a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in 6 years?
We focus, and obviously he's got a lot of energy, positive energy, but we focus the day to day, and getting better every day, and we don't worry what's going on outside. We know what's going on within these walls, and we are fired up within these walls, and our guys are excited, but it does us no good to talk about it, right? We know they're high, and we have our expectations within our walls, but we're fired up to go get it.
This is for Coach Hackett. George had mentioned the innovation and you brought to this team. What specifically is innovation, and will we see it during training camp?
There's so many different things that term, aligns with. From, for me, how we teach, is where I think it really starts. Is, you want guys to come into those meeting rooms and be excited. I've been around those times when guys are sleeping or they're not really paying attention, and the goal is to get them in there and want to learn ball and get better. So I think that the things that we do to spice it up, to make it interesting and fun and competitive, while at the same time you're being detailed and getting all the right stuff within the system being put in. From the field, I think that you're going to see a lot of different stuff out on the field. And for us, we're still trying to figure out, it's all about this team. It's about what Russell does well. It's about what Tim Patrick, what Cortland, what Albert, what all these guys do, the offensive line, what they do well. So I think we're trying to just make sure that we have a big enough playbook to be able to simplify it down once we get to the season to do what's best for them. And so from an innovation standpoint, we're always going to try to be creative and do different things, but we have to be sure that we're doing what the players do the best. And that's what we're working through, and that's what training camp's all about.
For both of you, how do you feel about where the offensive line stands right now, and when would you kind of like to get a finalized starting five? That might be a little trickier with Billy on PUP.
Offensive line is very, very interesting. For me, I look at my past couple seasons at the Green Bay Packers, and you go in with that starting five, but you're going to need everybody. I mean, the more flexibility you have, and I think George has done an amazing job of bringing guys in here that can play multiple positions. And for us, we train them all over the place because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you look at the day one starting five compared to, week 17, you don't know what it's going to be like, but you got to be sure everybody's prepared and everybody's able to play together. So I think that for us, it's about that chemistry. And you want those five guys to play together, but you still have to make it just as normal when somebody else fits in there. So it's a fine line, but I think we're just going to work through it. And the guys, I'll tell you, in the offseason, I mean, coming in here, putting in a new system, the outside zone world, you didn't know exactly how it was going to play out, how they were going to fit into it. But those guys have all they've bought in. They're starting to like it, and I mean, there's a lot of guys that have stepped up and just been great.
Zach Stevens with DNVR right here. George,
Zach.
I have one for each of you. George, for you, where do things stand with Bradley Chubb's contract? Is that something you want to get done soon or let the season play out?
Like the Russell, we're going to keep everything in-house with he and his agent. What I'll say about Bradley, I've only been here, a year and a half, and he's had an incredible offseason. We've talked about it before. The first offseason, he hasn't had to rehab. He hasn't had his surgery. And so we're seeing the Bradley that I thought we were going to get when I got here. And he's playing with a reckless abandon. He's looked as good as, when the year he had 12 sacks, as far as I'm concerned. We'll see what happens when we get the pads on. But we're excited about Bradley Chubb. We want him here a long time, and we'll just kind of keep all that other stuff in-house, if that's okay. Appreciate it.
It's funny. It's looking back all the way to when we played Denver in 19. And he was rolling, I think it was. And, I mean, since I've been here, I don't know what's happened, but it's not fun to try to block him.
He's been really hard to block.
It's been very difficult for us. He's making us better.
Brandon Cristal with KOA. Coach, for you, you've waited for this moment for a long time. So can you kind of put into words the emotions you're feeling, as your first training camps here as a head coach?
No, I don't think you can. I mean, there's no secret that I'm somewhat of an energetic human being. And now I've got a little break time, first vacation in a while, and so now it's even going to be more intense. So no, it's an amazing opportunity. But in the end, it's about winning games and being able to focus all that energy on all the right things. And it's the good thing is you're in a routine. You've got the schedule set. I believe in the schedule, how we're going to do everything. Everything's got a reason for exactly why we do it, and you just go with the process, just like we've talked about, and keep rolling.
Mark Kisler, Denver Post, 2 for Coach Hackett. Earlier, you mentioned December football and how important that is. It's a growth process. How big is the learning curve for, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, and how much patience can you have because you're energetic and this is your first gig?
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky because I've been through a lot of unique situations throughout my career. I've seen, started in with a lot of different teams, worked with a lot of different football players. And you're right, it is kind of a growing process. Not a lot of people remember what happens in that early part of the season. They talk about it early, but then in the end, all that matters is that December world. You look at the Rams, they really poured it on December and ended up going in, and doing a nice job in the playoffs. So, I think that for us, it is a process, and I know we keep saying that word, but it is. It's one of those things continually figuring it out, because the truth is we get out here and now we're in front of the fans a little bit. Training camp is a little bit different. The intensity goes up, but when you go out in that game and there's all those people out in the stands, people change. So I think being able to learn about those guys, that first couple weeks, obviously you want to win every single game and do everything you can, but the whole season you're adjusting, you're maneuvering everything. Everything's fluid. You can't just stay and do something because this is what you want to do. You got to be able to adjust with all the guys you have and make sure by that end of the season, that's when it's really humming.
Second one is, you worked with a pretty good quarterback in Green Bay, and you're going to have the opportunity to work with a pretty good quarterback here. What person is more important to the success of the franchise, the quarterback or the head coach?
Both. Both. Hey, it's all about the communication between those two guys. I truly believe that. I think that relationship that you have with the quarterback, that sets the tone for everybody and everything. And I'm glad that that's been going great here.
For George, back to the ownership group for a minute. Does getting that group in place, will it over the long run change materially how you manage a salary cap? Does it, in your experience, has it changed from group to group where you've been?
Yeah, I mean it just depends. They have to get here, boots on the ground, and we have to talk about how we do things and how maybe they see things. So it's going to be collaborative, very collaborative. I really haven't been through this, with the new ownership group coming in, and I just know we can't wait to get them here and get to work and talk about what we're doing and talk about our team and our coaches. And I mean, they have a general understanding. I've met with them before, but we'll just do a deep dive on everything we're doing and we'll talk it out, definitely.
Yeah, Mike Liss, 9 News. For each of you, do you feel like you've made progress with the Chiefs? And for Coach Hackett also, I've noticed, through your slogans and T-shirts, the division is something that you're really trying to get the importance of it to your players. Could you address that?
Yeah, everybody keeps talking about the Chiefs, and yes, they're part of the division, which the division is, if you win the division, it's the fastest way to the playoffs. That's why we always talk about that, because the goal is to get to the playoffs. So you always want to handle your division first. When it comes to the Chiefs, we can't worry about the Chiefs right now. It's about us getting ready, understanding what we can control, and getting ready to play this season, because heck, I think the first time we play them is late in the season, right? So many things can happen by then. You never know. So I think it's just, hey, did we get better in the offseason? We sure did. And did the guys enjoy it and push each other and make each other better? They did, and that's all I can ask for right now.
Nathaniel, Eric Goodman, Mile High Sports Radio. You had a great summer, saw some pictures. You and your wife, Russell and his wife at Wembley Stadium sing a great concert.
Oh, it was awesome.
I bet it was.
It was great. My kid's first concert, and I got to take him to Wembley, and Ed Sheeran, you're like, are you kidding me?
Well, thanks for making me look bad in front of my kids. How much of a fine line is it as a head coach between being a friend with your player and being the head coach of your player?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think, for me, I do this for the players. I do this because I love watching those guys be successful out there. And I always want them to know I support them, I'm with them, every one of the guys. I mean, I try to run with them when I can once I get back in shape. But just every single thing, so they know I'm right there with them, because it's a hard season, and they have to know that the coaches are always there to support them. So I think friendship and relationship is very important. That's what I was brought up to do. That's how my dad was. And, he's a pretty successful guy. And, in the end, you look back and look at all those relationships you've had with the players. I think, as the head coach, they still have to understand that there is a time that it's business. And when we ask them and we define that, if they don't do it, then somebody's going to have to say something. I think that's my job, to be able to create that relationship. Yeah, you can be a friend, but even with your friends, with your brother, with your family, my kids, I mean, hey, you put your foot down, and there are things that you stand for. And the idea is for them to know that. And when they know that, then we're good. So I think there's always, there's a line, I guess, but it's just about having a great relationship and communication.
Hey guys, Darren McKee, 104.3 The Fan. You guys had a front row to the Avalanche winning a championship here. I'm just curious if you could take any of that experience or what you saw with that team to translate into something maybe you hadn't thought of before, or what you can take for this team, and perhaps how the town reacted to it as well. For both of you guys, I wonder what you took away from the Avalanche winning the Cup.
We were fortunate to go to a playoff game together, and really didn't know what to expect. I've never been to a playoff hockey game, and I will just tell you this: we were blown away by the game day environment, the fans, and just all the athletes on the ice, and the way they played and they shared, and the humility after listening to the interviews of the players, and it really blew us away. And we were trying to take notes on some of the game day atmosphere. We love our atmosphere, but it was a really cool experience. I know
it was unbelievable. I mean, going to those games, I mean, I was lucky enough to go to a couple of them, and I mean, wow. I mean, and it starts with those fans, and obviously the players put an amazing product on that ice. And I mean, just to be able to be in the same town of it, I mean, it's such a privilege, and to be able to be associated with that team. I mean, just watching them, and I mean, it was. I mean, it's almost. I think everybody here watching that. I mean, something. I mean, that's what we all strive for. I mean, that's what we do. That's why we coach football, to be able to get a Super Bowl, and they got the Stanley Cup. I mean, it was just unbelievable, and just watching how in sync they were and how they played together, I mean, was just unbelievable. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know that much about hockey, but my respect for that game has skyrocketed after watching it as much as I have. I just didn't know how, I mean, just those line changes were unbelievable. I mean, and my son and I, we went to one, and I know George's son came to one. I mean, it's just so great to have, your family be able to see something like that, something so special both on the ice and with the fans and the community and everything.
Is there a common championship characteristic you think amongst all athletes?
For me, it's about, a guy told me once, he said, when coaches hold players accountable, it's a good team. When players hold players accountable, it's a great team. And I think that's about, when we always talk about the team, that's so important to us. It's about those guys holding each other accountable and being there for each other. As a coach, you can't go out there. Those guys have to be able to work things out themselves, and you're trying to train them as much as you can, but they're the ones that got to work it out. So I think that when you see that happen, that's when special things start coming to fruition. So I think that's what you saw with the Avalanche, and that's what we're trying to create here.
And our hats off to Joe Sakic and Coach Bednar, and I mean the team he put together is amazing.
Unbelievable.
And you just can't wait to sit him down and see how he did it. It's
yeah,
amazing.
I got to talk to them.
we got to pick their brains somehow.
No doubt, all the coaches around here.
One for each of you. First for George. You said earlier that you felt like you had the core foundation last year but needed to add. So looking back on the arc of the offseason, how much were you able to accelerate the process because you were able to get a veteran star quarterback like Wilson compared to some of the other possibilities that were on the market?
Anytime you get a franchise quarterback, Super Bowl winning quarterback like Russell Wilson, it's going to accelerate anything you're doing. It wouldn't have done any good to bring Russell here if we didn't have a foundation in place. So I think the players we added, the foundation, the players like Justin Simmons and Javonte Williams and Patrick Surtain, if we didn't have those type of players here, it would have done us no good to go get a quarterback, invest in a quarterback like Russell Wilson. So that's what I mean about a foundation. We needed a foundation to go get a quarterback like him. First of all, he wouldn't have come, right? But second of all, he didn't come here to lose, right? He came here to win, and he believed in our team, and we believed in our team, and we believe it even more now that we added a bunch of good players in the offseason, had a good draft, we feel, And now it's coming together, and we talk about the process, but that started today with the conditioning test, starts tomorrow, and we just need to keep improving and take steps every day.
Nathaniel, for you, you've been through a lot of training camps going back to when you were a kid. What have you learned that you have to incorporate in camp, and what have you learned in seeing you say, I don't need that as part of my team?
I think one of the bigger things is, coaches, we're very excited and we want to come out the gate rolling. It's practice, we're on the field, we want to do every single thing you possibly can. And I think being able to sit back and understand it is a marathon, and it's a long camp, it's a long preseason. I think that's something that I've learned over time is you just can't go crazy these first couple days. You got to slowly work them into it. You got to be sure that you're giving them enough time to recover because, the season's different with this 17th game and then the playoffs. It is a long season. And I love the season, don't get me wrong, but it's long. And we just got to make sure everybody's fresh. I think that's so important. So be able to work that. So there's that fine balance between working everybody hard enough, but at the same time letting them recover and letting them be able to get to that highest level they possibly can as we progress throughout the season.
Ryan Edwards, KOA. Question for you, Nathaniel Hackett. I wanted to ask about Caden Stearns. He had some flashes last year. I wanted to see what kind of role you thought he might have this year, especially with bringing Kareem Jackson back. And is there a possibility with Kareem Jackson, because he's shown versatility, to do more with him as well?
Yeah, I think it's great. Obviously, as he gets back, we'll get to find out a lot more about him this year or just in this training camp. But, I think the cool thing about football is the more versatile players you have, the more unique things you can do. Because looking at it from an offensive perspective, if there's certain things that or certain tendencies you can find, because that's all we do. We spend countless hours on trying to find different advantages and matchups and all kinds of different things to be able to take advantage of the defense. So I think the more versatile guys you have that they can play in different positions, down in the box, back in the middle post, all those things, I think it's really going to help your defense out.
Coach, in today's NFL, with there just being so much time constraints as far as how much time you could spend with these players, now looking at this offense and how complex it is because of the concepts that you guys are running, what's your plan with installing this playbook during training camp? Yeah,
well, that's a great question. Nobody really knows what we put, on those guys, especially in the beginning of camp. Especially during this time, it's kind of the West Coast philosophy is that you just bombard them with every single thing you have in the playbook for the first, about 7 or 8 days. And that's kind of the philosophy that I've taken. So the good thing about that is yes, we are restricted with time, but this will be the third time they have this installation. They had it for phase 1 and phase 2, and that's kind of the teaching process we have to be able to get to this point is, they've done it in the phase 1 to phase 2, then they got it all again in OTAs, and now really that's where we get to fine tune everything. They're going to get it again starting, tomorrow and all these next days. So I think that as you do everything, it's about the process and understanding how you teach things. Because you don't want guys, because you change things during the season, you want there to be, we say a lot of the time a language, something that you can tweak things here and there, but there's still a major foundation. So it's about putting that foundation, understanding what we're trying to accomplish, and again, getting it that third time in a row is where you're going to see some good stuff happen.
George, Benito, and Dulcich, having watched them during the offseason program, what are your expectations for what they can do as rookies here?
Very impressed with both of them. Dulcich obviously had a little, hamstring setback, but he showed in the short term what he could do. He could add. Obviously he's got tremendous speed, ball skills, great worker, highly intelligent. Benito really finished strong. He was hard to block towards the end of the offseason program. We've talked about he's got incredible get off, incredible bend. He has a great pass rush arsenal. He's slippery. And he played the run well. So we're excited for both of them. Where they contribute, we'll see. We have obviously a camp to see how it goes, but really fired up on both those players.
Yeah, two for you guys. George first, Tim Patrick, Pat Surtain, they really played into those expectations, saying, hey, it's Super Bowl or bust. These are our goals this year. Are you guys okay with that sort of mindset from them? Do you like that?
I would be disappointed if they didn't have that mindset. They have to have that mindset. This is a hard game, and you're training all off season. That has to be your mindset every time you go out and work out. So we love that.
And then Nathaniel, for you, you mentioned long training camp, long preseason. How much do you have the guys kind of play into the energy of having people out here, which you didn't have during the off season?
Yeah, I think, after thinking back to the off season and the guys and I have been talking about it, you know, we really amped up the energy going back and forth with each other. I think that makes it a lot of fun. You know, you love being able to talk back and forth because that's what happens in the game. So you got to get used to that. Now the fans are there. That's kind of the next component. They're going to be around. I think that amps it up always. I mean, whenever you got fans, I mean, that's why we do this, to be in front of the fans and entertain. And so I think it's great. It's going to be awesome all the way to that preseason game to the first game. So it's about controlling the emotion and getting your job done, but still sometimes you got to play to that too.
Thank you.
All right, Joe.